All right, so when I wrapped up yesterday, the car was running in safe mode after putting it all back together. And I didn't like how the EGR tube was fitting into the intake, so I really need to take the intake back off and see if I can readjust how that EGR tube is mounted. Then put the intake manifold back on, and if it's a problem with the intake manifold not sealing up because that EGR tube not being there right, I can see that causing the dry. And I'm not sure that it was in safe mode, it ran like it was. So if it's got a big vacuum leak back there from that EGR tube not being installed correctly, that could cause the issue. So I really need to go in there and take it back apart and get it seated right. You know, that's part of doing the job right. And then see where that gets me. If you notice, when I've been taking these bolts on and off, if I'm loosening it, I go from the outside in, and when I'm tightening it, I go from the inside out. And that's because as you tighten it down, it's going to try to spread outward. And as you loosen it up, if you loosen it up from the inside first, it's all of a sudden going to be able to snap back if you take everything else loose. It's not a huge thing, but especially when you're tightening, you do want to go in order. That's why we have tightening sequences. And most tightening sequences I've ever seen start in the middle and work their way out. There are some strange cases, and that's where you want to refer to your if you have a shop manual for the vehicle you're working on, you want to refer to the shop manual to see what the tightening sequences, because some things it really does matter. I was about to grab my ratchet, my sockets, and start working on tightening down that EGR tube, and I realized I was about to hover over these open ports with my socket assembly. It's going to take me a moment to do this. And how long is it going to take me to do it if I drop something down in there? So I got... Well, it's a good thing it came with the intake manifold set came with another seal, because I chewed up the corner on that one somehow. I cannot get that EGR tube to line up to make a straight shot into the intake manifold. Whenever I had the tube out, it went right in, right out like it's supposed to, but because it's in place, it curls over more than it's supposed to. And I've got to get the intake manifold up under it, into it, but there's not room to, because you hit the lower intake manifold. So I don't know if that's bent unnecessarily or what the story is, but this is getting to be a real pain in the butt. I think one day a year they ought to make it legal for technicians to go slap engineers. But at the same time, if that were legal, they ought to make it legal for one day a year for customers to go slap technicians. So it turns out I was doing it wrong. That EGR tube, it necks down and then it necks down again. And when I put the seal on that first section, it felt loose. So I scooted back to the next section and it felt right. That was keeping that tube from going in. You put the seal on that very end neck down version and the tube slid right in place. So figured that out finally. Not very intuitive. Doesn't seem very secure, but it works. So, time to finish zipping all this down and see where that gets us. Alright, let's see how she runs now. And pardon the background noise, my neighbor has a side gig repairing lawnmowers, weed eaters, stuff like that, and he's always playing with them, so more power to him. I still have a dead miss. It's still running like butt. But I know it's back together right.